Speaking from the heart, for the kids, for you, the children all over the world. Speaking from the heart. The tower of power, too sweet to be sour, funky like a monkey, oh yeah! Get down!
Let me hear you say, oh! 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 Oh!
Stand back! Dig it, dig it, dig it, dig it.
That gets my heart
This ain't WCW. This ain't Monday Night Raw. This ain't SmackDown. This ain't even WWE.
It's still real to me, damn it!
Time restraints, a 30-minute time limit.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Marks on Commentary. I'm Jason Smith.
And I'm Eddie Brophy.
Do I have everybody's attention now?
It's actually skid marks on commentary, is what one of our Twitter followers is calling us. We're both skid marks now. I'm really pushing. I think it should be Mark plus skid mark on commentary. Jason's a mark because we were just discussing this before we started. Apparently, a friend of mine who I introduced to Jason when we started doing the show, Catherine, she writes, articles, blogs, and what have you about wrestling. Apparently, she mentioned us. You know how I don't know this? Because I'm never on our Facebook page.
Gotta get with it, man.
I'm working. I saw the RoboCop clip, and you know what? As much as
I dedicated that one to you.
I was very touched. As much as I'd love to see RoboCop make a comeback into the squared circle, I know John Cena would bury him first chance he got, and I just couldn't tolerate that. That would just, man, if RoboCop loses, we riot. That's all I'm gonna say. So, Jason, we actually have an itinerary this week.
We do. I wrote it out.
I'm not in charge this week, Jason.
Yeah, I'm just not gonna pick random Twitter followers to accost and yell at this week. So we're actually gonna have a wrestling show. And I'm drinking right now, but I haven't been drinking leading into this show. So you're gonna get hopefully. So let's get this started. Now, you want to talk Extreme Rules because that's this Sunday, which I'll be watching at your place. Yes, sir.
Or so I was invited until I'm uninvited when Jason realized post another.
Let's finish this show first.
Yeah, when Jason posts another 20 things on the Facebook that I neglect. But he wants to go through this, match by match. So where do we start? We starting with the main events, or are we leading up to the?
Let's work up to it.
Okay.
I gotta play dual roles because Catherine actually sent us her picks, so I gotta kind of look at both of them.
Yeah, at least I show up. Okay, I may not be completely cognizant of what's going on the Facebook, the Twitter, the Vimeo, and all that other stuff I'm not good at. But at least I show up.
So what is it? Miz and Cody Rhodes pre-show.
Oh, so that's going to be the pre-show? Because I was actually going to ask that because I wasn't sure what they were going to do because I was wondering on Monday, where the hell's the Intercontinental title? We'll talk about that
neither
later.
Of them.
So
that's non-title. Neither of them have it.
Lame. So, let's all right, so pre-show. Where are you going with this?
Who has something in the works more? I think Miz does, even though I think Cody should be getting the win, but I think Miz ultimately gets it.
I go Miz only because the whole Damian Sandow and Cody thing is kind of like a Cher comeback goodbye tour. They keep telling us that they're breaking up, and then they keep coming out and wrestling tag matches at house shows and on TV. Stop. It's over. It's done with. Both of those guys deserve their own singles run. I think that's the only reason. Because what the hell happened with Cody? He's another guy. What the hell happened?
Yeah, destined for the world title a year ago.
They were grooming him. I believe in the order it went. It was Cody, it was Wade Barrett, it was all these guys in line for like a really promising title reign, world title reign. No, we're done. Scribble it out. And it's like, oh god, this is Cesaro. Like I'm reading that they're not like there's no heat with him backstage. It's just that a lot of the officials think he's too boring.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So they've essentially demoted him. Like he's like the Lance Storm of modern wrestling right now.
Well, they don't develop these guys how they used to. Like you never see a backstage interview or like I don't know scene or anything unless it's involving John Cena or whoever John Cena's working with.
or who he's burying in any
Yeah.
case. Well, now let's work our way up the card here. I'm looking and I'm seeing Jericho Fandango. I'm bored with it, but it's still a Jericho match. Fandango, I think, still got a lot in the tank. I think the Fandango Mania has kind of died out a little bit.
Yeah, it was the theme. It wasn't him.
Well, that was the thing. Yeah, they they pushed a theme, not the man. Probably your first strike in that one. But in this match, he lost the Mania. I'm going Jericho.
Yeah. You know what? I think Jericho will be wrapping up soon. I feel like he's about to go back on tour. So
but
I gotta go Fandango.
I'm only going Jericho because even though I agree with that, he said, if he leaves again, he's going to come back. He's a part-timer now. He's not a full-time wrestler. I don't want to say this because, never going to get our Twitter followers being like, you see that skid mark? You were wrong. But, I don't see Jericho being pushed for any title reign anytime in the future. If anything, Jericho's the catalyst guy. He's the guy that works with the younger guys, puts them over. Not a bad gig. I mean, it's Jericho, so you kind of, every time he comes back, you do want to see him in the main event in some capacity. But I think in this case, I don't know. I kind of see it. I would be impressed if Fandango took it. I really would. I'm going Jericho just because of how these matches usually turn out, where it's this guy wins this pay-per-view, this guy wins the next one. And, I mean, Fandango, that was a hell of a debut. Yeah. And I give a lot of props to Jericho for putting him over like that.
Absolutely. Catherine also had Fandango. And for the previous one, she had The Miz.
Fuck. All right, you know what, Catherine? Fuck you. All right, nobody likes The Miz. He sucks. He's boring. I know you have a Miz Snuggie. Fuck you, okay? It's never gonna happen, all right? It's like Fetch. You ever see Mean Girls? Catherine, it's never gonna happen. The Miz is never gonna catch on. All right, where are we going next?
What do we got? What's up? Randy Orton Big Show. Extreme Rules match.
Yeah, extreme. You can't see I'm doing the quote finger bunny thing right now. Yeah, Extreme Rules. I'm so bored with that match that I don't even really care who wins. I guess I'll go Big Show. I don't know, because who's the heel in this match? That's my number one concern. Like, who the hell is the heel? I mean, because they've been talking for a while now that Orton's gonna make a heel turn. Well, if you're gonna do it with Big Show's the heel in this match. So who the fuck's gonna care?
Yeah. I mean, that's the way. If he's getting to be the heel, then you want him to take as many losses before he ultimately makes that switch. So I'll go Big Show.
Yeah, I'll go Big Show. And I fucked up last week and nobody caught it, but I think I said it was going to be Ryback and Henry in the strap match. It's actually Sheamus and Henry.
Yeah, same thing.
Yeah, it's same kind of guy. It's a big, bulky, whatever. Again, this is another one of those matches where I think it'll go to Sheamus. I think there's going to come a point in the match where I can almost predict it where Mark Henry's going to go and tug at the strap, and as he's tugging and pulling Sheamus in, Sheamus is going to hit the bro kick, and bam, it's over.
Yeah, I'll go that way just because Sheamus took the loss at Mania and Henry got the win, so even them out.
Yeah, I honestly, that's another one where it's almost too predictable for me to give a shit. Now, I did say to you that I was really impressed that they included this United States Championship match, Kofi Kingston, Dean Ambrose. A lot of people, and I was reading a lot of those boards, and normally I don't give a shit what people think, but I was really excited to see how amped up people are for this match, and even going as far as to say this match could steal the show.
Absolutely. I'm definitely with you. This was actually part of the conversation that was mentioned in the article that Catherine did. So my pick was that it is time for Ambrose. She was a little hesitant and kind of like, well, why is he getting that belt? And I pointed out that, look at guy. I mean, The Miz had a strong United States title reign before he moved on to the WWE title. Same thing with Ziggler. He had a strong U.S. title reign. And the reason he did is because they fed him solid opponents. So as long as the idea is to feed Ambrose solid opponents to build him up, I'm all for it. But if they make it like another Cesaro, where, I don't know, who's he going to fight? This guy. Okay, whatever. It doesn't matter. It didn't matter that Cesaro had the belt for, I don't know, what was it, 200 and some odd days.
Yeah. Well,
it doesn't matter because he didn't fight anybody.
Now, here's my question, because no one seemed fazed by this after Monday. Now, Cena gives the Shield their first loss. He finishes with Ambrose, pins him. So I'm actually happy that people are still excited that Ambrose not only is in a singles competition, but he's going to wrestle Kingston, because I would have figured after taking a loss to Cena, everybody would have threw their arms up and be like, fuck this, I'm done. the Shield, it's over, I'm done, whatever. Cena, yep, you buried another one. No, everybody, it's almost like nobody gave a shit that they lost. Like, you knew it was going to happen sooner than later anyway, but it hasn't hurt the fans' interest in him, which is phenomenal because he's, again, there's something about his look, the way he cuts promos, his mic work, just
his
everything.
demeanor, how he carries himself.
Absolutely. I mean, not to sound like a mark for Punk, but obviously we both are for obvious reasons. If he's got Punk's endorsement, I can't see them letting this guy slip between their fingers. I really can't. Now,
do you feel like he's the guy that should get the U.S. title versus Rollins? I mean, I don't care so much about Reigns, but I always kind of looked at Rollins. I mean, Seth Rollins and Ambrose is kind of not even, but very close to it.
I'm going to go with Ambrose on that one because the other two members of the Shield, you got Reigns and Rollins. I love the fact that they're going to be in a tag tornado match against Team Hell No. And what we were saying originally was Ziggler's team, which we'll get into the Ziggler debacle in a minute, but what we were saying about, AJ and Big E and Ziggler, people are now saying about the Shield. How great would it be if those two guys won the tag straps and then you got fucking Ambrose winning the U.S. title? Now, not my favorite title. I've said this time and time again. That is not my favorite title, but you did mention some strong title reigns, and I thought Ziggler brought some legitimacy back to that title. And I mean, obviously, I give Ziggler big props for, dropping it to fucking Ryder, his road buddy. Like, I thought that was really cool. Will Ryder be remembered for his U.S. title reign? Probably not. I mean, again, we've talked on the last show. Ryder's like 1 foot in the grave. It's only a matter of time before he's future endeavored anyway. But I don't know. I loved Ziggler with that title, and I thought Ziggler, they, like you said, they were feeding him good opponents, but he also worked well with the guys that arguably weren't great opponents.
Yeah.
I think if Ambrose takes the strap on Sunday, he's that guy. Like, he could probably, if they bring Cesaro back into the picture and they put him back on TV, pair him with a guy like Dean Ambrose. Like, that could be all you need to get people interested in that guy again.
Definitely.
So yeah, I'm gonna go Ambrose for that. Where are you going with?
Yeah, Ambrose. I mean, you took the strap off Cesaro to give to Kofi to give to Ambrose.
That's essentially how I'm looking at it. Now, in terms of the tag titles, where are you going?
I'll go the Shield. I mean, they're walking out with gold, every member.
I think it's time. We've said it time and time again. Split up, Bryan and Kane. They've been an awesome tag team. They've been a hell of a lot of fun to watch. I love the idea of Kane and Bryan and Taker. It's all novelty, though, and I think it's run its course. Get Bryan back into the main event scene. You could do whatever with Kane, because at this point, it's not that people don't care about Kane. It's just he's kind of there. You know what I mean? Like, Kane's just, he's gonna, like WrestleMania last year. He wrestled Orton. It was a fucking terrible match, but any guy that doesn't have a spot on the card, they'll just be like, fuck it, pair him with Kane. He's a good guy. He's got a good track record of, not hurting anybody or being really careful with people, which is why I remember telling you leading into the first Cena Rock Mania match, I think you would ask me, like, oh, why do they keep pairing him with Kane? And me being a smart skid mark was saying, because he's got an excellent track record of not hurting anybody. He's a good, diligent worker, and they figured they could keep Cena in the main event scene and, keep people invested in Rock and Cena, and they can use a guy like Kane to, kind of let Cena get over and, show, like, oh, I'm building this momentum going into this match, but he's not going to get hurt. So I feel like Kane's going to be that guy for, the duration of his career. I doubt he's going to get another big title reign. But you never know. He may get a few more tag team partners before he wraps it up. But it doesn't matter because he's Kane. He's got the mask back on. He's back into that character. If anything, let's see another, not like a stupid heel Kane turn. Like when the mask came off and he was a heel, it was stupid. It wasn't believable. It was just dumb. And when he came back with the mask on, you got to go a little deeper. You got to go a little darker with Kane, which is going to be hard because, we all figured it out. He's not really burned. He's not really The Undertaker's brother, and he's done all this stupid, silly kind of stuff. I do think you can reinvent Kane by the time his career wraps up.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I can see him totally being Ambrose's first title defense.
That would actually be an interesting one. I could actually get that would be an interesting one to see him contend for a title that Ambrose has and just kind of see how Ambrose can work with a veteran, in a title circuit like that. I like that. Del Rio Swagger. Now, this is my main concern with this. It's an I Quit match. I'm over the feud between them. More importantly, at a house show recently, the fans started chanting, "You hurt Ziggler," to Swagger. Because Swagger's the reason why Ziggler's on the shelf right now, and that's the reason why we're one title down on a pay-per-view that desperately needs something.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, we could have had a ladder match. Not to say, like, oh, that would have been match of the year, but we don't know now because it's not going to happen because you fucked up. DUI. DUI. I don't know. In terms of this match, I'm probably going to go Del Rio because I think Swagger, with everything that happened, you know, leading into Mania with, you know, the arrest and shit like that, I think WWE, I don't know if they're going to give him the boot, but I think he's got some heat on him, so I think he's going to get demoted, especially after it's like, dude, we
get back to the main event on Wednesday.
We just gave Ziggler the fucking title and you hurt him. Why? So, I mean, that's another thing. Like, you can't have that, especially now where the roster is so fucking thin. And again, I'd bring in RoboCop, but I know RoboCop wouldn't last very long. I know he'd just get buried.
He's working dark matches in TNA.
He's down at NXT.
Yep.
Bring RoboCop into NXT.
We need Brian. We need the NXT guy that we got crucified that we don't know who it was. Oh, we need to tell that story. I don't know if you caught it. I texted it to you. What was it, Brian Watts or whatever?
Yeah.
That's Husky Harris.
Well, son of a bitch.
I'm a fucking idiot. I apologize, skid mark all the way, but I was like, he really looks like Husky Harris. It is Husky Harris.
Oh, you know what? Fuck it. RoboCop and Husky Harris. Let's have it done. NXT. we'll have a a handgun on a pole match, whatever the fuck, whatever we need to do to keep this product interesting. All right, Triple H, Lesnar don't give a shit because the only reason they're throwing these guys in a cage, from what I read, is that the person who wins doesn't have to pin the other guy clean. So it's kind of like, fuck it, you know? Like Triple H could win again, and it doesn't matter because he didn't pin him. So it's not like he's burying him.
Even because of that, I still think Brock gets the win. Brock has had one win since he returned last year. He needs this one.
Big spot. Otherwise, it's a wasted investment. You shouldn't have brought Brock back.
I'm trying to think, like, what can you do for a big spot in the cage?
It's got to be something huge, and it's got to be something that I could come up with a few scenarios, and people will just roll their fucking eyes at me and be like, whatever, skid mark. But something where he fucking just hucks fucking Triple H through the cage, the fucking wall of the cage comes crashing down, like something where he showing a fucking power, just lifts Triple H, like fucking bench presses him over his fucking head and just tosses him across the ring through the cage wall. Triple H technically wins because he got thrown out, but it's such a devastating fucking move that it's like, okay, Triple H won, but at what fucking cost? You crippled the man.
I call that, actually. Triple H gets hurt and Brock gets suspended or whatever and is off TV. That's how you get them both off, because they're not working the next pay-per-view. I can't imagine either of them to.
It's got to be one of those things. It's got to be like an F5 off the top of the fucking cage, which is unrealistic. It's got to be RoboCop comes in and fucking cost Brock the match. That's your third guy for Paul Heyman. It's RoboCop, ladies and gentlemen. All right, I just spoiled it for you. WWE can sue me all they want. It's RoboCop. That's the next Paul Heyman guy.
You got spoiled. You got the inside.
I got the inside. I don't pay attention to our Facebook page, but I know stuff. That's why Jason keeps me around.
Well, all right. You alluded to it there. Well, you know what? Before we get to it, I did want to say, do you feel like this pay-per-view, for being called Extreme Rules, really doesn't have anything that extreme?
Well, let's see. You got your garden variety. You got Last Man Standing with Cena, Ryback. And everybody's calling duct tape on this one, and I'm right there with them. I'm calling duct tape for the win. You got a steel cage, and I Quit, a fucking strap, Extreme Rules. There's nothing.
I feel like it's missing something.
Let's see, a TV 14 rating.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Blood of any kind. Leaving the arena, which would be like, holy crap. I remember when we were online and we were watching TLC when it was Del Rio and Cena, and they didn't leave the arena, but they left like the main area. They went like kind of backstage, and you and me were marking out over them like, holy crap, they went backstage. Like, this is huge. That's wrestling in 2000, well then 12, but now 13 is if they so much as like get a little behind the curtain of like the main stage, I'll mark the fuck out. Cause I'm like, dude, they kind of left the arena. Not totally, but kind of. I say the only way this will work is if actually go extreme. You fight in the fucking crowd. I don't know. Something where they'd have to physically leave the building and end it in the middle of the fucking street. Or a high spot, like Lesnar fucking just picking up Triple H like he weighs, my size, 124 pounds, and just like, holy loop, and just like, Kobe, and just throw him through the cage or something, like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it needs an exclamation, and it doesn't have that. Somebody needs to bring a cheese grater to the ring, and then I'll be like, okay, now we just got extreme. He's got a fucking cheese grater. But now, I did allude to a few things, but we do have... Paul Heyman, WWE.com. And this is how WWE tries to build certain storylines now. They're alluding to Brock Lesnar looking for a third guy. Who the hell would it be? You know what I mean? Like, I would say maybe Ambrose.
Maybe, but there's already that, alliance there with the Shield and everything. I don't necessarily see that as being the guy. I have a few picks of who it might be.
Who do you got?
Cesaro for one.
Oh, that would be interesting. That would actually get... we're talking like the WWE officials are smart. If they're saying this guy's boring, and you pair him... All right, what makes... Let's take this... Let's take a few seconds here. What could make Cesaro boring? Is he not great with promos? What is it about him that... Well, if he's not great with promos, if you pair him with Paul Heyman, he's a great talker. Done and done. Like, okay, so he's a good wrestler, but he's a terrible talker. Give him to Heyman. Heyman will do all the talking for him, and there you go. Daniel Bryan would be an interesting one. That would be an interesting one.
My idea is that whoever goes with them is instantly a heel. And there's one guy on the roster that desperately kind of needs it and I don't think quite knows how to get there, and that's Kofi. Kofi can perform. We know that he's buddies with CM Punk.
I was
there's
almost
that rub.
I was almost waiting for you to say Ryder. But I agree.
I don't mark out for Ryder every show.
Kofi would be a real, that would be a what the fuck kind of pick.
Yep.
Oh, I like that. You see, I go the more obvious bullshit way of saying, like, all right, I go obvious and then I go not so obvious. And, like, what the fuck, Eddie? I go Cena. Because that would be like a what the hell? Like, that would be an interesting one. Or I go Fandango. This dance is about to get extreme.
I'm speechless. I don't know how I would feel about that.
If they try to legitimize Fandango, I think that would be what sends me over the top. Is not that Fandango's a Paul Heyman guy, but the fact that they're trying to legitimize him now.
Would it be, I'm a Paul Heyman guy? I don't know.
I'm sold. I'm sorry, but I'm fucking sold. And, of course, another obvious pick, RoboCop.
Absolutely. The return of RoboCop. Now, are you going old school RoboCop or the new and improved RoboCop?
Fuck you. That's what I'm saying to that. All right, you had bullet points, and I've already lost them. So let's get ourselves back on track, sir.
All right. Do you want me to see where we were?
All right,
we did the third client. Did you have anybody else besides?
I honestly, if there's gonna be a third client, it's got to be a complete staff. I am 100% behind Kofi now. Like, that never crossed my mind. Like, I went literally too obvious or too silly. You were like, nah, dude, I'm gonna be fucking pragmatic about it. I'm gonna go with somebody that no one's really putting any thought into, and because Kofi is Punk's, road wife, it would make perfect sense. But another thing that I just thought of now is, I know a lot of people will say this is bullshit, but what if Punk came back and they kind of paired him with Kofi?
Yeah.
I mean, you get them going for the tag belts. Granted, that's a huge drop from going from the impressive title reign he had with the WWE title to like, oh great, now he's a fucking. Don't count that stuff out though, because
you can put solid main event tag team together. Like,
right.
You had Edge and Randy Orton. That was awesome.
Okay, rated RKO, absolutely. No, Triple H, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Triple H Intercontinental, Steve Austin WWE title, right?
Yeah.
CM Punk WWE title, Kofi the fucking Intercontinental title, US title, whatever, and tag belts. Bam. There's your two-man wrecking crew or two-man demolition team, whatever the fuck those two are called. That would be impressive. That I would get behind that. But we do have a few more topics because we're pushing. We could go a little over this week. We are pushing the 30-minute time restraint here. But Sin Cara in line for the Intercontinental title. And you asked me, is it worth it? No. It's a waste of time. It's an absolute waste of time. And it's an absolute waste of having Wade Barrett even carry that fucking belt. Like, you're not even going to give him, like, a worthy opponent. You're going to give him fucking Botch Cara?
Yeah.
All right.
And not to mention that, okay, he's on the pre-show last time. He's fucking not even on the show right now. What are you doing with Wade Barrett? Like,
That's the main thing. I was sitting watching Raw being like, what the fuck happened to the Intercontinental title? Like, are we over the Intercontinental? Are we going to retire it again? Is Steve Austin going to have to come back as, GM and, like, unretire it and be like, what the fuck's wrong with you? This is a major belt. What are you doing? Next Raw, get Stone Cold back to be like, all right, seriously, guys.
give me it.
I don't give me the fucking. You know what, Vince, out of the way.
It's going in the vault.
I don't give me the belt.
Right next to the lightweight title.
Give me your writers. What? I would so bad love Austin. I kind of just picture him sitting at home, maybe watching occasionally, being like, what the fuck? Seriously?
Like fucking Vince, like
just shaking his head, fucking Vince.
Throwing his beer at the fucking TV.
Yeah, he pulls an Elvis instead of shooting the TV. He throws his fucking beer at it. Oh man, I almost feel like at this point Vince and Austin must have like a Newman Seinfeld relationship.
Hello, Vince.
Hello, Austin. Hello, Vince. I don't understand that. All right, Jake the Snake. I did want to bring this up because the three names for next year's Hall of Fame: Paul Bearer, Undertaker, Jake the Snake. If that fucking happens, I almost sometimes want to say that a good, solid Hall of Fame leads into a good WrestleMania.
It's 30. You elevate your game for those milestones, so.
Well, I do want to throw another name out there. It's another, crapshoot or whatever. But I'm also mentioning this because next Thursday is the anniversary of his death, Owen Hart, 2014. They wrapped up the case. His wife in WWE.
I'm all for it. I'm anybody misses Owen Hart, but I still feel like there's bad blood and that would never happen. I thought she's been like emphatic, like no, that's never happening.
Dude, Bret Hart for years was emphatic. The WWE. Bruno Sammartino, emphatic.
Yeah, but that's different. You're not dealing with a dead Bruno Sammartino's wife or whatever. You're dealing with the dead wife, and it's kind of the company's fault that
the dead wife.
Yeah, dead wife.
You're dealing with
dead husband.
Well, no, I feel like within her, she's got, as much as she hates wrestling, and she's been adamant even before his death she hated wrestling. That was still his legacy. Like, he worked his fucking ass off to do what he did in this company. Let him have his moment. Granted, it's posthumous, but have his kids go up with her, give the speech, thank the fans, because the fans are you're not hurting WWE, you're hurting the fans, essentially. And you're hurting Owen's legacy because, frankly, one of the greatest superstars to ever come out of the company was Owen Hart. Charismatic, like a technician, like a tremendous wrestler, funny as hell, great rivalries, and we even included a few when we actually had a studio. But I'll leave it at that. But Jake the Snake, definitely. And he's confirmed he's in the 2014 Royal Rumble.
He says it. Till I see it.
Yeah, till I see it, I'll believe. But that's a mark out moment. I don't care how old the guy is and how fucking haggard he looks. I mean, he's been doing...
One more time.
Yeah, give him a... He earned it.
You've done worse. I say any fucking celebrity appearance is 1,000 times worse than having any former competitor in the ring.
Dude, you threw the Godfather out before he even got his fucking hat off. At least, let Jake the Snake come in and, somebody...
DDT somebody.
Yeah, somebody had said, oh, it would be interesting that we never thought of. What if Jake the Snake and Randy Orton went at it? The Viper and, the Snake.
Yeah.
Not a horrible idea. I hate Randy Orton, but that's not a horrible idea. That could be kind of interesting.
Well, Santino with the Cobra then.
Someone did mention that too. Santino comes out with the Cobra, and here comes Jake with the fucking boa constrictor. And someone said Santino fucking jumps off the top of the rope and eliminates himself. It's nope, I'm done.
See, that's good shit.
I would laugh my ass off. It's fucking all right. Number one, it's All right, here's the scenario. Number 1, here comes Santino, right? He's got the fucking Cobra. Number 2, hit the music. Here comes Jake the Snake with the fucking burlap sack. Santino looks like he's got a load in his pants. Pulls out the fucking boa constrictor, and bam! Santino's out. Then you just see Jake the Snake just sitting in the ring like, all right. And then, like, it doesn't matter who comes out after that because he already had his moment.
Yeah.
It may not be the moment he wants, but that's still like oh my God, it's fucking Jake the Snake, and holy shit, did you just see what he did to Santino? He made the guy crap himself before he eliminated himself.
I say if that can happen, I think there's a very good shot that you can see Page and maybe even Hall. I don't know what kind of condition he's in, but you know, they all live in DDP's house, so
honest to God, I would love to see those 3 guys in some capacity show up on WWE television, whether it's a pay-per-view or a Raw, either to promote wellness, just the overall health and longevity of just taking care of yourself, you know, especially in this business. Or if the 3 of them came out as some sort of faction, just for one night, just came out the 3 of them and just toss dudes around for a while before getting eliminated, or just give them a moment, because that's a really special thing. Like, you literally pulled 2 guys out of the grave and said, no, you still got one more match in you, or you got one more little moment in you. Go out there and get it. If Vince likes money as much as I believe he does, which I'm questioning lately, that's a money-making draw right there. That will get a lot of asses into seats just to see because that's the thing now. Wrestling isn't so much about the sport as much as about the moments. You know, we've seen some great we haven't seen a lot of great wrestling in the past maybe 5 or 6 years, but we've seen a lot of great moments.
Absolutely.
As fleeting as they've all been. I mean, Kane coming back with the mask. People tend to forget how fucking nuts people went when he came out and he chokeslammed Cena. You know, fucking just all that shit, you know. Yeah. Why not? If we're building for moments, that's the way you got to do it.
Definitely.
And now I'm sure we got to get over to TNA, because I've been reading about this story. I had no idea what was going on. I had no idea what actually happened between Austin Aries and Christy Hem. The nut rub, as you put in quotations.
What'd you think? I showed you the video,
all right. So this is why I got the video, because at first I was a little lost, because she introduces a tag team that isn't the tag team that comes down to the ring, and I'm thinking,
no big deal. We've heard that before.
And I'm thinking to myself, like, all right, was that an intentional screw up, or was that just like a oops? Obviously, Austin Aries, he's pissed off, so he backs her into a corner, which he's the heel, so you kind of get that much. Then he climbs up on the top belt with his crotch in her face, and you can hear her, all right. And he does his little pose on the turnbuckle. I don't think it was appropriate. Like, I don't think, like, that was the right way to be like, bitch, I'm pissed. Like, what'd you do? But I don't know. I'm on the fence with it, because I don't want to glorify it, but I also don't want to demonize the guy. Wrestling has, and I'm not saying this is a good thing, and I think a lot of things need to change. I mean, we've made, leaps and bounds in terms of, how seriously they take concussions, hence why Ziggler's not on the pay-per-view and hasn't been wrestling, how they're taking the wellness policy seriously. What should have been, I shouldn't say ahead of all those things, but within the realm of those things, is misogyny in wrestling. Dude, I think it was misogynistic? Absolutely. However, I'm still... maybe I'm just desensitized. There are worse things he could have done to humiliate her. And I'm also saying this as someone who... Jillian Garcia, WWE's ring announcer, I cannot tell you, and it wasn't like blatant sexual harassment stuff, but a lot of the inside jokes that Mick Foley was so heated about a lot of these that he even wrote a blog being like, well, horseface, that's when Jerry Lawler, whenever, somebody mentions, it's, did I call it, it's Lillian Garcia, it's not Jillian.
I wasn't going to correct you.
Yeah, you can correct me, it's fine. I've only had one bourbon and Coke, but
it's good.
It's just, I don't know. I'm on the fence, because I don't think it's as holy shit as people are making it out to be, but I still think it's like, dude, don't be a fucking dick. Don't be a dick. Like, she fucked up. We've all fucked up at our jobs. Like, don't be a dick.
Yeah, but I also, like, the internet's like, he rubbed his nuts in her face. There's a clear gap between that, so I don't demonize him like, he whipped his dick out and shoved it in her face. Like, there's a gap. I don't think the point was, hey, my crotch is in your face.
Right.
I think my point was, hey, I'm getting up in the ring and I'm going to put you in this awkward position, not sexual position.
It was almost like a Morton Downey Jr. move. Like, there was this really infamous moment where he was heated with a female guest, and he was literally like thrusting his crotch at hers, and he knocked her down because he was thrusting himself. It was basically saying, I can knock you down and I can fuck you when I'm knocking you down too. And that was like, all right, dude, go fuck yourself. It was almost it didn't quite reach a Morton Downey Jr. level of, I'm bigger, I'm tougher, I'm a man. It did teeter on that, so I'm on the fence because, regardless, I think it was a stupid fucking thing to do. And honestly, he's paying the price for it. And you know what? That's what fucking happens when your temper gets the best of you. But it's not, and I was saying to you before we started recording, it's not fucking Hulk Hogan. In an issue of Rolling Stone a few years ago, in an interview, in print, telling the interviewer, I can see why I can see where OJ was coming from now. And this is right around the time that he divorced from Linda, and thinking, wow, you pretty much just said I'd kill my wife if I knew I could get away with it. So, I mean,
Awesome.
It's not quite that, but yeah, misogyny in wrestling, you got to work on that because I'm not supportive of it. I'm not glorifying. I'm not, I don't know. I saw that clip and I was like, it was a dick move, literally, but it wasn't. I don't know.
Should he have been fined for it?
I think so because you got to make it
severely though, because that's what they're saying.
I wouldn't say severely. Well, to me, severely. If he loses a few paychecks, that's not severe to me. Severe would have been the guy's out of fucking a job. Like, to me, severe is like, you're out of work, buddy. You're done. Your future endeavor. Get out. That would be severe. I think the fine is a good way to handle it because it sets an example. You want to treat women like this? All right, you're going to pay for it out of your pocket. All
right, well, here's a question. Does Christy get that money?
That's an excellent question. And a lot of people might disagree with me on this. That's an excellent question. She should.
I do. I agree with you.
I say, you know what? You really don't fucking apologize to her in private. Public apology and sign over your next 3 or 4 paychecks. And then all is forgiven. I mean, not really. I mean, that's such a hard one to do because it's a male-dominated sport. And we joke all the time about the divas. Like, they're bathroom matches, whatever. I genuinely feel bad when I say that because it's not that there aren't talented women in wrestling. It's just when I grew up watching wrestling, women were valets. Like, I didn't even know there was a female wrestling division when I was a kid. Because every attractive female, like, Miss Elizabeth and Scary Sherry and, women like that were always just like the arm candy. But then when they actually had, like, a women's division of wrestling, your main star was fucking Sable. Like, that's not really putting...
Or China or...
Well, China was a great example until you got to know who China really was. I always loved China because she pushed the fucking envelope in terms of, this is a male-dominated sport. I don't give a fuck. I will kick your ass twice as hard as that guy can. But then it just fell apart. Like, she almost got too into herself and too into, like, oh, yeah, I'm that chick. Like, no. Like, I thought Ivory was a great women's champ, female wrestler. Like, I loved Ivory. I thought Ivory was fantastic. Molly Holly was one of my favorites. Christy Hem I even loved. Trish, all that.
Lita.
Yeah, Lita, yeah. I mean, the fact that Lita could take equal bumps as the Hardys at times, I thought was phenomenal. Because it was her saying, like, fuck it, I can hang. You don't have that really in wrestling anymore. I mean, so much that we barely have a Divas. Is there even a Divas title match happening at this pay-per-view? No. It shows how little they give a shit about women in the sport. It's tough because I don't sympathize with the guy at all. However, I don't think what he did, it could have been worse, is basically what I'm trying to say. It could have been a hell of a lot worse.
Absolutely.
But
I don't know much about the next TNA pay-per-view, even though it's in Boston. We both talked. We're like, yeah, we'll totally go. But there's not much interest there for me.
That's the thing. I want to like TNA because I've said before, I don't know if I've said it on the show, I was a TNA fanatic when the only glimpse of TNA you could get was when Comcast On Demand first came out, and you could only get, matches piecemeal. Like, you could only get individual matches at a time.
Yeah.
And I thought, wow, this is fantastic. Like, look at they got these really young, talented, athletic guys. And then Hogan Brother came in, and it's just like, oh, now fucking Jeff Hart. Like, they were speculating, is RVD going to sign with WWE or TNA? Don't bring RVD back. Whatever the WWE did to you, RVD, please, all is forgotten. I would love to see one more RVD run.
Yep.
He's been my favorite since I was a kid, since I first got on ECW. I fucking love Rob Van Dam. Speaking of ECW, Justin Credible was arrested. He pulled a swagger. Didn't this guy just put a fucking video out talking about his comeback, and then
He did.
like 2 weeks later? Oh,
but in his defense, I think this is an older offense, unless I'm wrong.
I didn't look into it because as soon as I saw Justin Credible arrested, I was just like, you know what? Fuck you. You swaggered it. You fucking swaggered it.
You're done.
How dare you?
And I will one-up you with ECW stuff. I don't know if you've caught the article on WWE.com yet. Great article about what would have happened had ECW stayed in business past 2001. It's pretty great. It's a very interesting read.
I'll have to check that out because the only thing that kills me about ECW now are the people that won't move on with their lives. Like they're stuck in this like ECW nostalgia. It's over, it's done with, get over it. But that is, I love to kind of entertain the possibilities of like how far could they, especially past 2001. Now you're getting into like the Bush years where everything became politically correct and very, family oriented and very, for lack of a better wording, it became very PG. Could it have survived? I mean, just on a mainstream level, could something like ECW have survived the kind of, because there's a 50-50 with me, and this isn't just about wrestling, this is about everything with me. We're like 50% desensitized and 50% like too sensitive to things, and ECW always pushed that line where it was almost like you could be a little desensitized to what those guys were doing to their bodies, but there was still that sense of like, but they're really doing this to their fucking bodies. Is it worth it in the end?
Absolutely.
And I would love to have at least speculated, like, what could ECW have become now? Like, Dixie Carter was, talking. She did an interview talking about meeting Steph McMahon at Reed Flair's funeral, and how great and respectful her and Triple H were to her, and saying that she had no bad blood, and she, even though Steph's tweet back to Dixie Carter was very, concise and almost like, very business, like, oh, it was nice meeting you, whatever. And she still said, competition's a good thing. I have no bad things to say about her, and clearly she has no bad things to say about me. And a lot of people on message boards were laughing, said, like, but you're not competition. Like, you're not even close. I think if
they're making small strides. I will give them credit.
Yeah.
Getting out of the Impact Zone this year was a big, big move.
However, I think if ECW had stayed in business, that I think half the reason why Vince bought them out, A, because he could, but B, was because he knew that if they had found the right kind of financial backing, that would have been his new competition.
I don't know. You'll have to read the article because there's a lot of conversations that I guess happened where Vince actually tried to help them.
Well, I mean, you got to figure years ago when he was having ECW invade Raw and the whole Jerry Lawler, feud, which tied in the brand. I think that Vince always respected what Paul Heyman did. I don't think he took it seriously as a competitor, but I still think he respected the shit. I mean, why else did WWE...
You're hitting the nail on the head if you read that article. I know I keep saying it, but it's like...
Well, why else did Vince create a hardcore division in WWF?
Yeah.
Because he knew that what ECW was doing was not only they were pioneering an entirely different way to look at professional wrestling. Granted, some of it may have been devil may care, like this is stupid and senseless, but Paul Heyman's a fucking genius for what it's worth. Vince may not like Paul Heyman as a person, but professionally, I know he respects the shit out of the guy.
Absolutely.
And I honest to God, I think that if Vince, because I've heard stories that Vince did, and I've seen it in, older Raw episodes where Vince was really pulling for Paul Heyman. He was really pulling for ECW because he believed in the product. He thought, hey, what the fuck? Like, young guys, they're doing it from scratch in fucking bingo halls. Like, how could you not respect that? It's very do-it-yourself, and it's very grassroots, which Vince is a businessman. Forget what you know about the Ivory Towers and Connecticut and the pedigree and all that. Vince still appreciates blue chippers that just roll their sleeves up and say, fuck it, I'm going to find a way to do this. Why else did Zack Ryder get the push that he got? Granted, he got buried later on, but why else would a guy like Zack Ryder get a push? Because I think Vince really loved the ingenuity. He said, I don't have much faith in this, but I love the ingenuity. That's all it takes to make a successful business, and no one knows that better than Vince fucking McMahon. I mean, say what you will about the guy, but the guy's a fucking genius. Absolutely. Why that company should have been done years ago. Why does it still exist? Vince McMahon. So, I mean, yeah, I'll love to see the article because I'm sure I've hit a lot of points on that. I know Vince respects the shit out of Paul Heyman, and I know he probably figured, if they had just hit their stride, that would have been our competition. Not we buried WCW, but now it's like the guys that, the least likely candidates to give us a run for our money. Now those are the guys we're fighting for our lives against.
Yeah. If I can, I'll go back and finish off my TNA point. Like you, but like you had mentioned, the first time you saw it was on Comcast. I actually, back in the day, I may have had a box that was, I don't know, the color black.
Don't incriminate yourself, good sir.
I'm just saying, a box that might have been black.
It might have been black.
I'm not alluding to anything.
It could have been white.
I was able to actually watch the old NWA TNA pay-per-views, the weekly pay-per-views. And back then, what they were known for was the X division and the tag division. And leading into this pay-per-view that they got coming up in, I think, 2 weeks, they have James Storm and a mystery partner for the tag titles. I'm picking Chris Harris, and you probably know him as Braden Walker.
Yep.
But when they were a tag team, they were at the time probably the number 2, only behind the Dudley Boys at the time. So I'm calling for a, one of my world famous, I'm calling it, reunions. So I see that happen at the pay-per-view.
No.
I got nothing else going into that pay-per-view that I want to see besides an AMW reunion.
And we actually hit our bullet points, and despite the fact that I kept derailing us with senseless conversations about RoboCop. He'll make a comeback. You'll see.
Do we have a few moments? Still?
We have as long. We've already exceeded our time limit, so
we're going to what do you call it? Sudden death.
Doesn't even know what he's saying.
Let's head over to the Marks on Commentary Twitter page. That is MO Commentaries. We had a couple responses this week. I'll read some of the good ones.
I love how excited Jason gets and how I'm still like, we have a Twitter page? That's amazing.
We'll kind of run through them quick, but let's not spend too long because there's actually a lot of them. Let's see. Notes of Wizard, that's at Notes of Wizard, did you guys notice that Ambrose has tweaked his finisher? I hadn't seen that, but I didn't really get a chance to fully watch that match this week.
I kind of noticed, but it didn't jump. If he's not trying to tweak a few moves here and there, it means that he knows they're not going to do anything with them.
Yeah.
And I did pick up on that, but it wasn't something to me that was like a big oh my god, he's tweaking it. Because to me, unless he's saying what I'm about to say, which is I think that Ambrose is being groomed to be. I mean, because again, we're getting towards the worst time in wrestling, which is the summertime, because there's literally no one left. If Ambrose loses the U.S. title match, it's only because they need someone for Cena after Ryback, because frankly, who the fuck cares about Ryback at this point?
Yeah.
I'm over it. Dean Ambrose, solid fucking heel against your solid babyface. He's gonna need to modify the way he works in the ring, because he's so used to being in these, 3-on-3, 3-on-2, 3-on-1 type scenarios. Now, if he's gonna be a singles competitor, he's got to work on that shit.
Yeah. All right. While I continue on, at the Fan Podcast, who is actually a part of where you can additionally see us, we are now on the weekendwrestletalk.com. I've been working some angles here, man. I've been getting us out there.
Jason works the angles. I show up. It's a great relationship that Jason eventually is. Why don't you love me?
So we are on weekendwrestletalk.com now. There's a bunch of other cool podcasts on there. I'll do them a favor. I'll plug some of them. FTW podcast, Marking Out. I wonder where they got their idea from. Just kidding. Road to WrestleMania, The Steel Cage, Voices of Wrestling, and of course Weekend Wrestle Talk.
Our name's still the best. Skid Marks on Commentary.
So you get a chance, go over there, check them out. But anyways, let me see. What did he have to ask? If you could be tag team partners with anyone, who would it be? What would your tag team name be? Which diva would you marry?
Oh, fuck you for not preparing me for this, because that's an awesome fucking question. Dude, you don't understand. I live for questions. I had a female friend ask me a month ago, Eddie, if you had a wrestling theme, what would it be? You don't understand. Part of going 3 years without being laid is a girl coming into your room being like, I want you now. The second most important thing, maybe more important than that, is, Eddie, if you were a wrestler, what would your theme be? Holy fuck, I never thought this day would ever come. Oh, man, that's a... Oh, shit. Have you thought about this? Because now I'm like...
I didn't. I really didn't get a chance to look at him before. I don't know. So, all right, let's go with the easy one. Tag partner. Who would you pick?
Oh, man, because it's... Dude, that's a hard question.
All right, you know what? I got one.
All right, go.
That I would pick. And you know what? I don't care if nobody would know it. I want to be partners with Taka. Taka Michinoku.
Oh, man. I feel like I'd get paired with Gilbert just on principle alone. Oh, man, I just feel...
The new Job Squad.
Oh, my God, yeah. We would have to come up with a fantastic name for that. We'd probably just be Skid Marks is probably what we'd be. Oh, God, that's an awesome... Because I'm 124 pounds, and a voice that cracks. I'm 124 pounds, so it's silly for me to be like, oh, man, I would love to be with Roddy Piper. I would love to be with, like, Macho Man. All right, I'll go the wild... Not really the wild card for me, because I think a few of our viewers or listeners know this. Ultimate Warrior.
Nice.
I would love to be with Ultimate Warrior. Just to be, for once, not the eccentric one of the two, but the voice of reason. The guy that you listen to and you're like... Because I'm sure on this show, I'm the Ultimate Warrior to Jason's, Hulk Hogan or whatever. Whoever's a really good speaker and, like, what the hell he's saying. That would be the first time in anything I do where somebody'd be like, holy fuck, Eddie's the voice of reason. When the hell did this happen?
Diva?
Oh,
that you'd marry?
Would I marry or would lead us to the ring? Because...
that's a good question. Maybe both.
I've always had a soft spot for Miss Elizabeth, but...
you went classy.
I love me some Miss Elizabeth. I really do. Rest her soul. God, I can't even, and I'm like having a total brain fart because I can't remember her name now, which is terrible. CM Punk's girlfriend, she got let go from WWE. Oh, why am I spacing on her name? Maria. Oh, okay. My God, I loved Maria. Oh, who would you go with?
I have to go obscure in case my girlfriend hears this. I'd go Kimono Wanalea.
For the record, fuck you because she's your fiance, and I don't know who that is.
It's the girl who danced atop the ECW arena.
All right, and much like the TNA thing, I'm going to admit that the only time I ever really watched WCW was after a Godzilla marathon on TNT.
Did I say WCW? I said ECW, sorry.
Oh, okay. I wasn't familiar with all the females in ECW. And a lot of that had to do with the fact that, again, it was like TNA. I only kind of caught on to ECW through, wrestling magazines and stuff like that. Like, seeing the photographs of the Dudley Boys with the fucking cheese graters and, like, New Jack and shit like that. I'm actually really let down that I didn't really even get into the ECW product until it was on TNN. And at that point, it had been so diluted that even the pay-per-views weren't that interesting to me. But I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that, if you didn't have that special box that may have been colored black, you weren't seeing a lot of, like, fuck it, nobody's watching us anyway, let's do what we want.
All right, we'll keep going if we got time.
Yeah, we got a little more time.
Okay. Also from the Fan Podcast, if you had a time machine, which wrestling event would you go back to see?
I don't want to be that guy right now because there are definitely two. And one's an obvious pick from just doing this show. But it's also a morbid pick because, again, we're a week away from the anniversary. And, again, I love Owen Hart. And this is no disrespect to Owen Hart. I would have loved to have been at Over the Edge in 1999.
Not the Raw after, where you don't have to kind of witness that. And
and it's sad and it's tragic, but I almost, whenever I watch, because I'll go back and I can't tell how many times I've rewatched that pay-per-view, I almost take it out of the equation because it's just one of those things where it shouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
And it breaks my heart because I remember just being heartbroken watching the pay-per-view, but God, that pay-per-view was just so fucking extraordinary. Like, I don't know. Another one would have been SummerSlam 92. Would have been a big one for me. What about you?
I'd probably go for us, the Boston WrestleMania in 98.
Ooh,
so 14.
Yeah, I'm with. I didn't even. Because there's so many fucking shows that if you could have gone back to, like, and I'm talking WCW, ECW, WWE, WWF, the early years. I mean, God.
It would have to be, like, historical. Like, obviously, like, the CM Punk one. Yeah, I'd love to be there for that. But I think,
Money
like,
in the Bank, absolutely. Just to hear that reaction from the crowd, absolutely.
Oh, yeah. being in that crowd, like that was nuts. Even the WrestleMania the Raw after WrestleMania, that looked like a fun crowd. I'm disappointed that I didn't go to that.
You know what? I say this to everybody, was that when I went to my first Raw, that was my first Raw ever going live in November when The Rock came back, and this was right before Survivor Series. This was the go home Raw before the Survivor Series with The Rock and Cena teaming up. I was so let down by Boston because the crowd wasn't really into anything when we were on TV, but as soon as the dark match where it was Cena, Orton, I believe, and Punk, and the crowd kept chanting for Ryder, and Punk actually midway through the match got out of the ring and ran backstage and pulled Ryder out, who was in his street clothes because he was on his way out of the arena, and Ryder jumped in the dark match with them. That was the loudest I'd heard that crowd the whole fucking night.
Nice.
And to me, that's the thing. Do you want to go to a pay-per-view that's historic? Do you want to go to a pay-per-view that, for you, is like Survivor Series 98? Like, that has been one of my favorite pay-per-views since I was a kid. That was a phenomenal pay-per-view. Just to see that live, just to see the reaction The Rock got when, him and Shane and Vince screwed over Mankind, that would have been awesome. Like, Buried Alive in 96, that would have been phenomenal. Like, any pay-per-view where Taker had, like, an entrance or an exit that was, like, epic. Because I will never see Taker live. Like,
yeah.
You have seen, I've seen American Badass. I will probably never see Taker live, which breaks my heart. Because you were even saying to me, you almost cried during the fucking entrance he made.
I was shaking. Like, you felt it. Like, all those times on TV, you're like, wow, this is a moment to remember. Like, being in that arena, knowing what I know, how long I'd been a fan, my hands were shaking the whole time, and like the eyes like watered up. Like, that was fucking beautiful to me.
And of course, Jason had just proposed to his now fiance. So it's a lot of stuff. Like, we've both been fans since we were kids. It may not seem like it because and I pick on you all the time for the name of the show because I would never consider myself a mark because I'm not like an expert on wrestling. I'm just a fan. I'm just a guy who watches it. And I'll admit, sometimes I'm a fair weather fan. I don't know everything about everybody. I don't watch TNA. I don't even fucking watch SmackDown. It's hard to catch up with all this stuff, but when you're watching it and something genuinely like just fucking awesome happens, it takes you back to when you were a kid and you had the time to sit and devote to like buying those issues of WWE magazine right when you knew they would hit the newsstand, and buying your WWE merchandise at the Square One Mall in that short-lived wrestling store they had, or getting excited when the new video game came out, or having the kid that lived up the street from you bring all the fucking, I had the ring and he had the tables and shit. We'd play with and we were in 7th grade, but fuck you, we'd play with our WWF action figures. Like, it's definitely, that's an awesome question, because another one I'd want to say to you is like WrestleMania 2, Hulk Hogan and King Kong Bundy in the steel cage.
Yeah.
How fucking awesome would that have been to see? And that's the thing. I think a lot of people kind of expect you to go way, way back when, wrestling in the 80s and all that. And then there are people going to be like, oh, they're going to fucking pick the Attitude Era because they're the Attitude Marks. Hey, that could be another title for the show, the Attitude Marks. But I was an Attitude Mark because for me, I grew up with, my mom watching, carrying over from the 80s into the early 90s. But my sister and my cousin and my sister's then fiance, we all grew up. Jason and I went to middle school, high school together, and we all grew up with that Attitude Era. And it's like, I always complain as a music fan that, man, I missed out on grunge music. I was too young. God, what that must have been like. But for a guy who missed out on the grunge scene, I had the Attitude Era. Yeah. And you cannot, and I think Jason would agree with me, lightning in a bottle. You cannot explain to people why that, because you don't even really know it. You just felt why that movement or that why that particular era was so special to you.
I mean, it's something. I mean, they still try as hard as they can to recreate certain elements of that, and it's just not there. Like so many, like the ECW pay-per-view, like knockoffs that they've tried to, get started, and hell, I've even had my hope in that they'll accomplish, but it just doesn't pan out because that time is done.
And that's the thing is, you'll never get that back. It was once in a life. Fuck Cena and Rock. No, the Attitude Era was one. Even Triple H and Stone Cold and The Rock have even said in articles, like, we didn't know what we were doing or what was going on around us because we were in it. Looking back in retrospect and playing WWE 13 and seeing the storylines and the whole era, it was really special because it was just like, it just, man, when it clicks, it fucking clicks. So to get a question like that is awesome. You know, it's like the tag team and the who would you marry question. It's a fucking awesome question because that's coming from an actual fan, somebody that's actually thought about this shit. I'm 25 years old, and don't think for a second when I walk into a room or go to work or something, I'm not opening the door and hearing a theme song. Like, you know, like I started going to the gym recently. As soon as I signed up for my gym membership, all I play in my head is the Batista theme. You know, I'm 124 pounds. I have no business thinking I'll ever look like Dave Batista, but when you're a fan of something like that, that's the thing. That's the thing that gets you off. Like, that's the special, like, oh man, if I had a theme. And I always joke with people, like, I'd probably go X-Pac because that was such a great fucking theme for a guy like X-Pac.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm sure you agree with me 100%. Like, that's just why we're fans. And I almost justify, because I hate the fact that the wrestling aspect of the product from not just WWE, but even TNA is kind of like lacking. But the moments, you know, because I could give you, and, you know, there are smart marks out there. They'll be like, they don't know shit about wrestling. How dare they call themselves marks? I'm a moment mark, man. Like, when fucking Booker T and Jason was there, I wasn't. I almost got to go that night. When Booker T made his surprise entry into the Royal Rumble, I marked the fuck out.
Yeah.
You know, when fucking Diesel came back, I marked the fuck out. Like, because those were really cool moments. Like, that's, if you're a wrestling fan, you remember the great fucking matches, but mostly what's gonna linger in your head, the fucking moments, you know?
Absolutely. Definitely.
Still real to us.
Before we hop off the Twitter feed, Catherine, she tweeted us a slew of them. Catherine from faniq.com. I'm going to go through some of them. We'll quickly do it because there is a few of them.
That's all right.
She put it politely, but I'm gonna dirty it up. Fuck, marry, kill, the Shield.
Oh man, you know, fuck her because she stole that from my previous podcast. All right, that was my thing. Fuck, marry, kill.
Well, she said marry, shag, or Cliff.
Fuck, marry, kill. All right, so Jason's stealing from my former podcast. That's okay because we're podcast partners now, and now he has the role I used to have, and I have the role of my former co-host, which is Jason does the work. I'll just show up. I want to hear yours first. Go.
You know what? I'm not gonna give reasons why because then it'll be like he's gay.
Fuck that. I'd be queer as a $20 bill to give reasons. I'll give fucking reasons.
Let's see. I'd probably kill Ambrose. I'd probably marry Rollins, and then fuck Reigns.
I wish I could fuck and marry Ambrose, because that is a handsome man. That is a handsome man that you know can fuck the shit out of anything.
My only point of killing Ambrose was like I don't want to have to like live with him, like because he would be an abusive husband.
You know what? Fuck you. I'm going for it, Jason. I'm going for it. I'm a little loose. I had a bourbon and Coke. I'm feeling loose. Ambrose is the kind of guy that brings adventure into the bedroom and adventure back into your life. That's all I'm gonna say. I would want to get a restraining order against him and then fuck the shit out of him. And it just because it would be dangerous sex. It'd be like sexing at fucking Denny's, like in the bathroom of a Denny's. Like, oh shit, you got to be 20 yards away, motherfucker. But I'm gonna fuck the shit out of you in this bathroom.
And then she asked a serious question: Should Swagger have been scolded for giving Ziggler a concussion? Miz was scolded by Triple H after he did.
Oh fuck yeah! When he botched the R-Truth move.
Yep.
Oh hell yes! Swagger should be literally. All right, Swagger should be future endeavored. I'm gonna go there because not only did he fuck himself over with that DUI, you just took a rising star, somebody that when the fans are chanting "You hurt Ziggler" at a fucking house show, you fucked up, big time. Honestly, if I'm gonna be honest here, Swagger should be future endeavored.
I will say sent to NXT and then future endeavored. Don't give him any grounds to make a run off to someplace else.
Hey, guess what, Swagger? You know who your last opponent's going to be? RoboCop.
All right. We'll keep going. We'll keep going. She gets mean. She gets vicious. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you love John Cena?
That's hard because I could answer that honestly or I could be a fucking mark right now. I'll go 8.
Wow, that much? Love him?
I love him because this is the thing with Cena that I love. I hate the character, and the guy seems like a piece of shit, but you gotta respect his fucking work ethic. Like, he shows up every fucking night, hurt, maimed, doesn't matter. The guy's fucking there, which I think is big because a lot of people now bear in mind we grew up in the Bret Hart era. We weren't old enough to appreciate that a lot of people felt. We feel about Cena the same way a lot of people felt about Bret Hart, which was that he was sanctimonious. He was very self-righteous and very, I'm the fucking man. I show up every night. I do what I'm told. I go above and beyond. I fucking deserve what I'm getting. I don't necessarily I agree and disagree with the entitlement factor, but in a way you kind of got to be like, well, there have been a lot of flakes in this industry. A lot of flakes. Stone Cold was one of them. Yeah. A lot of people want to forget that. Stone Cold's the fucking man, but he fucking bailed on us, dude. Brock Lesnar bailed on us. Goldberg bailed on us. The
Rock essentially bailed on him.
Yeah, he fucking bailed on us. CM Punk and Cena to me are neck and neck because CM Punk's not out right now by choice. He's out because he's legitimately burnt the fuck out, which it makes me angry because I think, well, fucking Cena's still going, man. But I think they all know. If I could give this a decent enough comparison, because I've said The Rock, Triple H before, Cena is Bret Hart, CM Punk is Shawn Michaels.
Yep. I'll go with you on that.
Because think of that. I mean, Shawn Michaels had to bail a few times because he was legitimately injured or he had shit going on. And then Bret Hart was like, well, fuck it, give me the title back because I'm fucking Bret Hart. And that's why people hated, why he hated Shawn Michaels, because Shawn Michaels was like, nah, dude, I'm burnt out. I got to take a break. I don't think John Cena would know what to do with himself if he had to take a break, honestly. I don't
go home to his porn star.
Yeah, I don't. It's just I don't know. I respect the shit out of the guy. Do I like the guy? Not really, but I do respect the hell out of him.
Yeah.
So I will go 8 because even if and this goes personally too for people, even if I don't like you, even if the mere sight of you makes me want to fucking vomit on you, I still have respect for people that I don't like because you know what I mean. If they're gonna change for me to like them, there's nothing to respect about them. You know what I mean? If I can legitimately hate you for being you, I respect the shit out of that because you're not doing anything to change my mind to like you. And it's very easy to get people to like you. Very easy. Cena, it would be dude, he could go heel tomorrow and this would be a very different show because we'd be praising Cena again. But he's not fucking doing it. I respect the shit out of that.
Right. This one is actually for you. I'm not in it. If Eddie was stuck in an elevator with Miz, how long would it take for you to fall in love with him?
Oh God, this is a terrible question because I literally think because I don't know the man personally, so this is all theoretical. If I'm going with the guy I know from TV, 5 minutes in, he's getting his fucking face smashed off the elevator buttons. I'm just fucking, I'm 124 pounds. I don't care. My hatred of The Miz grows stronger every day. I would just be hate fucking that guy for hours. That guy would be crying for the elevator to get fixed because I fucking just hate him so much.
We got one more, but she did tweet something else. She says she enjoys annoying the hell out of us while we're recording, but she has a fantasy match. She wants to know what would be, of the current roster, your fantasy match.
All right, are you going first or am I going? Because I feel like
I'll go. I would
please.
say CM Punk Brock. I think there's money in that.
I feel so bad because, with all due respect, and in all honesty too, Jay does a lot of fucking work for this show. And again, I do things here and there, not much, but I show up.
I need you. You're my wingman.
But if Jason says that's a Jason question because I don't. For me, it's harder to look at this roster and say, okay, this is my dream match. Because there have been a lot of matches that could have been dream matches that I've already seen. We've already seen fucking Bryan and Punk and shit like that. There's a part of me that would almost want to see Ziggler and Lesnar. Just because of how Ziggler could sell that entire fuck. But then again, would it be over the top? Would it be like Hogan and HBK? Because HBK was selling fucking Hulk's punches like he was a goddamn superhero. That dude was bowing, and to the point where Hogan was even like, "Dude, Sean, seriously, if you're not gonna take this fucking seriously, I'm gonna tag you for real, buddy." I would almost go. I would go Lesnar. Yeah, Lesnar Punk would definitely be up there.
Nice.
God, I know everybody's gonna hate me for saying this because it's already happened, but Taker Cena WrestleMania.
Yeah, I'll go with you.
That's a big one because I almost, and again, people can crucify me. I don't give a shit. Almost goes back to Taker Hogan at Survivor Series. You got Superman versus the Supernatural. How fucking cool could that be?
I'd love it.
Hands down, that would probably be, aside from like Ziggler, Billy Gunn would probably be like my dream match. But Billy Gunn technically is not on the current roster, so it doesn't count. But I would probably agree with you. I'd probably go Punk or Lesnar, or I'd go Taker Cena.
Nice.
And now everyone knows that I respect Cena. And I feel shame.
All right. Before we wrap things up on our Twitter, absolutely follow us at MO Commentary. You can now find us, like I said, weekendwrestletalk.com. We are now on iTunes.
Jason's laughing because he asked me to do this like 3 weeks ago, and I actually attempted to do it, and I couldn't remember my iTunes password. And after like probably 9 attempts at doing it, I pulled like I don't know if you've ever seen PCU, or if any of our listeners have seen PCU, but it was basically like the two guys they sent to fucking get the kegs and set up the kegs, and they couldn't figure out how to work the keg, and they're just like, oh man, let's just give up. And Jason was the Jeremy Piven to my Stoner, where he was just like, come on man, these guys are hungry and they're thirsty. So yes, Jason is my Jeremy Piven from PCU, because essentially I just went on iTunes and like, oh, I've done this. That's just hard. I don't remember how to do it. Fuck this. And then that was the first time I actually went on our Facebook. I saw, yeah, motherfucker, we're on iTunes now. I'm like, oh, if Jason was a more passive-aggressive person, which I think that might have been a little passive-aggressive of him, it's like, yeah, fuck you, Eddie. I gave you one job. And
it's all good.
And I'm sitting there still sitting on iTunes like, can't remember my password. I know it's one of the 3 I use. Is it the bank account one? Is it the red tube one, or is it this one?
The red tube.
Because they're all the same.
I just love that it's like, what's the number one like podcast like way for people to listen to podcasts? iTunes. Yeah, let me get to that.
Yeah, I want people to listen to us. I'm not sure how I feel about that.
Well, if you do, we are on iTunes. I did subscribe to Stitcher for any Stitcher users out there. I'm hoping it comes through soon, but we're attempting to get onto Stitcher.
Another thing that Jason asked me to do that confused me. Is it free? Do we have to pay for this? I don't know. If this was like in real time, not like right now time, but this is real time, I'm Jason's 7-year-old co-host when it comes to technology. Because he'll be like, oh, simple assignment, Eddie. Can you sign us up for this? What? I don't understand this. I don't speak the language. But yes, so we're on these things. I don't even remember what they were. Facebook. Facebook.com/MarksOnCommentary. YouTube/MarksOnCommentary. And maybe Catherine will actually show up for a show, because I may not do anything, but I still show up, damn it.
If you haven't read her article, I am quoted in it. We talk about the Shield's Dean Ambrose going for the U.S. title. That's faniq.com. You can find the link on our Facebook page.
Jason's a better friend to my friend than I am. Just throwing that out there.
So go ahead, check those things out, get in touch with us. And right now, since we have, 500 Twitter followers, but that's really not a lot.
To you, that's not a lot. I got like 30 Instagram followers from me, and I'm like, holy crap, that's huge.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm going to guarantee until we get to maybe 10,000, hopeful, wishful thinking, that I guarantee I'll read your question on the air. We do. Oh, wait. We have one more Twitter question if you want to try and quickly tackle it.
Yeah, we're not going anywhere.
Yeah, I know. You're going to hate it. TNA question. Why does TNA insist on booking the X Division matches as triple threats? I think it's just fit as many spots with as many different competitors as you can in the shortest amount of time possible.
Well, I like that question because I agree with Jason. What you can do with 2 guys in terms of the X Division, because they do have a really strong X Division. I don't even know why I'm talking about like it's a thing. Everybody has an X Division. It's essentially their version of light heavyweights. It's what the impression I was under when it first came out was like that was what WWE was trying to do with cruiserweights. They got a strong division with these guys that are really agile. They're really fucking athletic. It's no different than why they kept booking the Dudleys, the Hardys, and Edge and Christian in fucking ladder matches. Like, if you have if you have a good number of solid athletes, why not throw as many of them in a match as fucking humanly possible? Because what you can do with 2 guys that could be great could be phenomenal with 1 or 2 more guys. So it only makes sense. I mean, I can understand being kind of pissed off because it almost seems like too many cooks in the kitchen, but you got to think of it from a booking standpoint, like what's going to generate more interest, because you can have 2 guys and maybe they're exciting in the ring, but the story's not really there. And I hate to say it, but sometimes when you throw in other guys to kind of like obscure the fact that, yeah, we don't really have a good story going here, just keep throwing in guys that are really, you know, high spots and, you know, high energy. Why the fuck not? Why not?
Absolutely.
So.
Nice.
All right.
So tweet us. I promise not to tell you to go fuck yourselves.
Yeah, that's my job, damn it. You gotta make the guy who doesn't pay attention to these things tell people to fuck themselves, because then they're just like, it's fucking Eddie, shut him up. Where's Jason? The guy that actually pays attention to this shit. So yes, that was Mark's On Commentary. I'm Eddie Brophy.
I'm Jason Smith.
I see, I actually let you say your name this time.
Yes.
That's how grateful I am. We will talk to you guys next time.